Hi, Paul Donovan here, out in the cold here in Vancouver, British Columbia, January 2017. It's cold. Vancouver never has cold weather, doesn't have snow. But look at this. We are in the weather today. Today is -3 Celsius. Incredibly cold for Vancouver. But I want to talk to you today about something that you probably already know, but when you're shooting video, there are things you have to think about when it comes to the lighting for your video when you're shooting in a world of white. Snow creates a marvelous world of whiteness. When we're in the studio, we're always trying to add more light. And we're also worried about the color of the light, whether it's going to be a daylight or a cool white. We're always paying attention to these things in the studio. But when you're outdoors in an environment such as this, where you have so much white everywhere, blue sky, sun shining, snow that is reflecting everything, you actually have the opposite problem. You have too much light. And of course, typical in any daylight environment, you have no control. In the time I've been here, I've watched the sun drop a good, well, I don't know how many degrees, but it's probably dropped about 2 inches by my eyeball, because you have no control on that thing. It keeps moving. The snow continues to reflect. If you recall, when a cloudy day happens, we often enjoy shooting on a cloudy day outdoor because it distributes the light around and makes sure we have less shadows. But today we have shadows that sometimes are very prominent, such as my side of my face today with the sun shining at me from this side, and the side of my face here is dark, but I'm being reflected up off the ground with the white that is just overblasting things. So one of the things you want to think about when you're working in the snow is exposure. When we're doing video shooting, same as you're doing in photography, there are 3 settings that are involved in setting to deal with the way we light things. There's the ISO. ISO is the sensitivity of the film. Well, we don't call it film anymore, now it's a sensor. But ISO is dealing with the sensitivity. A low ISO number, such as say ISO 100, is great when you have lots of light. An ISO of 4000 is great when you have low light. But you don't want to have a higher ISO because it creates more grain and it makes the image less quality. So it's always nice when possible to give more than enough light. But here we are in snow, too much light. The second setting that affects what we're doing is the f-stop, the aperture. The aperture is the size of the hole that allows light to go through the lens to hit the sensor. A smaller hole, which is a higher f-stop number, the less light that is actually getting through. And the smaller the number, which is the bigger opening, I always get those mixed up. But the f-stops, when the hole is bigger in the lens to allow lots of light through, then you have the opposite problem, is you may have too much light, especially in an environment like that. So that's the ISO, and then we have the f-stop. The third setting is your shutter speed. Shutter speed is the speed for which you allow the image to hit your sensor. 100 years ago, when they were taking photographs on silver halide glass, people used to have to stand rock steady for many, many seconds, sometimes a minute, in order to burn the image onto the glass. Today we shoot in fractions of a second. It's not uncommon to shoot in sports environments at 1/1000th of a second and grab the image, which allows you to freeze high activity sports activity. You can freeze the image. Of course, sometimes you don't want that activity. Sometimes you want a slower shutter speed. A slower shutter speed gives more time for the shutter to be open, but also can induce blur by the subject of what you're taking pictures of or video of. So this is all something you have to bear in mind. But all of these factors, the 3 things combined, change a lot when you're in a snowy environment, a winter environment where the weather is white, where the ground is white, snow is everywhere. All 3 of those things have to be carefully balanced out. A lot of people will tend to undershoot or overshoot because they fail to take into account of the amount of light that is involved when you're shooting white. So I personally prefer, when I'm shooting photos, to use an ISO of around 200 when I'm in an extremely bright light scenario, such as a snow environment or at a beach. Ooh, beach, that'd be nice to have. Whereas some people, will be the purists, would say if you got way too much light, shoot at ISO 100, so you can get the maximum possible grain, give you the best quality picture you can possibly get, and also allows you to pull out the details that are available when you have a higher number of pixels in play. So personally, when I'm in a snow environment, I tend to lean towards the ISO 200. So that's ISO. I like to do ISO at 200. Then there's the f-stop and the shutter speed. Now this again, a lot depends on your personal preference and the environment you're trying to shoot in. When you close the shutter down, let's say an f16 shutter, what happens, you end up incurring a bigger depth of field. So if you have a lot of material that's close as well as far, you'll have more detail that is in focus. Now in an environment like I'm shooting today, I actually want and hope that some of this background is actually a little bit close to focused. And so I'm happy that today I can shoot at an f16 and be able to retain as much depth of field that I can get. When I'm in the studio, I like to set my f-stops down around f4. And this is because I actually want the background behind me to be a little out of focus. Otherwise, I'd have to push the background 20 or 30 feet behind me, and my studio's not big enough for that. So in order for me to get the background, which is usually about 3 or 4 feet behind me, out of focus, I have to try to set my f-stop down around an f5. Now in this environment, if I open up my f-stop to an f5, I'm going to have to set a shutter speed fairly high, say a 250 or 500. Because in order for me to compensate by all the excess amount of light coming in from the aperture, I got to make a shorter shutter speed. So you see, it all comes down to a little bit about what you want versus what you need. The shutter speed, the f-stop, and the ISO in combination work together to help you take better imagery, whether it's photography or videography, when you're standing out in the snow. So there's just a general information tip for you when talking about cold weather videography, cold weather photography. This is Paul Donovan from avtechnician.ca. Thanks for watching my video today. Please subscribe to my channel and also check out our website at www.avtechnician.ca. Reporting from Vancouver, January 2017, in the cold. Thank you for watching.